Hey, it's Mr. Aaron's again. Jumping around a little bit right now because yesterday we did 3.1. Now we're moving on to 3.4. We'll get back to 3.2 later. Don't worry about it. So today we're working on solving equations by adding and subtracting decimals. We've done solving equations by adding and subtracting. Our only difference right here is that we're using decimals. So we practiced those a little bit yesterday. We're going to keep going with them today. I don't think this should be too much of a struggle with you if you keep using those same strategies that we did when we were solving equations. My strategies for that, quick tips, are get the variable alone. You know that one. Second one, use inverse operations. Another thing that you know, I know we've talked about it. Inverse operations, that means if you're doing addition, you do subtraction. If you're doing subtraction, you do addition. Multiplication, division, multiplication. Using those to undo what we previously done. Today we'll be working on these ones. For later day, we'll be working on these ones. And finally, whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. What did just to a toe? That's what that means. Whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. Things you all know. Just want a quick refresh on those. So let's look at this first one we have right here. N plus 4.5 equals negative 9.7. So the first thing is to get the variable alone. To do that, I have to use my inverse operations. It's adding, so I am going to subtract. Subtract 4.5 to cancel those out. Whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. These are going to cancel each other out. I know that I have a negative, and I'm going to subtract from it, so that's almost like adding. So what I can do here is chalk this up just like I would be adding to 1, 13, 14. Decimal stays in the same spot. That's the important part here, keeping that decimal in line. A lot of times you can get lost with those decimals. A quick way to check that is for estimating. Perfect way to check. I know negative 9.7 is pretty close to negative 10. I know negative 4.5 is pretty close to negative 4. Those two together should be right around negative 14, so this checks out. Estimating is a great way to check your work. So that's how we solve that one. Something you've seen before, just making sure we keep those decimals in the same place. Paying attention to those negatives. To check it, we can plug this number into here. We have negative 14.2 plus 4.5. Yeah, that would be just about right. Perfect. Looking at the next one here, we have x plus 4.9 equals 18.8. We're trying to get that variable alone. We're going to use the inverse operation. Instead of adding 4.7 or 4.9, we're going to subtract 4.9. Whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. Keep that decimal in line. Carry this, make that 15. That becomes a 7. Becomes a 7. 3. Keep that decimal in line. 13.7. We can again check that, plugging this in here. 13.7 plus 4.9 equals 18.8. Checks out. Done deal. We're using a lot of same methods that you've seen before. Keeping that decimal in line is the most important part here. Like, notice how that decimal stays in the same spot. Decimal stays in the same spot. All right, estimating a solution. So now we're going to put a little bit of what we did yesterday together with what we're doing today and estimating a solution here. They ask us how far is the satellite from the moon. Here on our diagram, they showed us that Earth to the satellite is 22.3 thousand miles. I'm going to estimate that, a pretty good number. I'm going to keep it nice and simple. I want to be pretty exact. I'm going to make it about 22, approximately 22,000 miles from Earth to satellite. And I see here from Earth to the moon is approximately, that looks pretty close to 240. That's what we're going to go with, approximately 240. And now I need to figure out x. So I see x would be the same as 22 plus x will be our total distance. 22 is the distance from Earth to satellite. We're trying to find this distance, and we know this distance. So we know the total distance is going to be approximately 240. So I'm going to approximate that. We know right here is 22. Right here we have to figure out our goal to get the variable by itself after we set this up. I'm going to subtract 22 from each side. These will cancel each other out. 240 minus 202, carry that. 8, 1, 2. X equals 218. Got to keep my units in there. Oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't even see any of that. There you go. If you need to pause it and take a look at what I did there, I'm more than happy to. It's stuff you know, though. We use some approximation. Got this number right here. And I actually should have this as approximately. That's what we're looking for here, a little bit of combination of estimating like yesterday and using those methods with decimals like we did today. Notice I canceled out those decimals so I didn't have to do any. Another good solution. Backside, we're adding now. Same ideas, same concepts. Let's crush it. Okay, we have k minus 14.4 equals negative 18.39. I know I have to get that variable by itself. Use my inverse operation. Cancel out 14.4. Whatever I do to one side, has to do to the other. Uh-oh, look at these decimals don't line up. Here's what I'm going to do. Boop, add a little zero there. I'm allowed to do that. That's A-okay. You can add as many zeros if you need to. So, for example, if I had 1.2 and I was adding that to 18.76384, I could set that up as 18.76384 plus, keep that decimal in mind. That's most important. And just put a bunch of zeros for the rest of those. You're allowed to do that. They're the same number. Those zeros don't change the number at all. Okay, so looking at this, I added that 0 here. I see I have more negatives than positives, so I know this is going to be a subtraction problem. More negatives than positives. And I know that my answer is going to be negative. So I look here, I got 9. Make that 13, 9. Make this 7, 3. 399. Negative 399 is what x equal there. We could double check that by plugging it in quick, or we could also estimate. This is about 4 minus this is about 14 equals about negative 18. Oh, negative 4. Excuse me. This is about negative 4. Negative 4 minus 14 would be about negative 18. Checks out. Next one. N minus 5.85 equals 15.25. Get that variable by itself. To do that, we're going to use the inverse operation to cancel these out. Whatever we do to one side, has to do to the other. These cancel out. 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. 21.1. Double check that if we want to by plugging that in. Looks like it would work out. 2 word problems and then you're done for the day. Nice short lesson here. So we have Danzel wrote a $76.85 check. His account balance is now $235.15. Excuse me. What was it before the check? P is our previous balance. So we know his account balance is now 235.1. We can know that his previous balance minus 76.85, his previous balance minus the new check is going to equal his current balance. How can we solve this? Get that variable by itself. Use those inverse operations. Keep those decimals in line here. Super important. Those cancel out. These add up. His previous balance would have been $312. Easy peasy. All right, got one more. You spent $14.95 on a shirt. You now have $12.48. How much did you have before the shirt? So we know Again, our previous balance minus 14.95 equals our current balance. Our previous balance is how much money we had. We took away this amount, and this is what we have left. To undo this, same as we did last time. Do those inverse operations, get that variable by itself. Those cancel out. Quick math here. 13, 14. Oh, yeah, that's a 2. Previous balance was $27.43. All right, those are a lot of strategies that we've seen before. Solving equations. Big thing to remember, keep those decimal places in line. Get some good practice. Use your estimating to double check your work. Crush this lesson.